All right, we are starting today at a very interesting point. We had a huge drop overnight, and I was trying to figure out what caused it because it had been pretty well uptrending. And it looks like the slew of earnings announcements did not come out so well. Starbucks and McDonald's dropped quite a bit. So I think that kind of affected what we see here. And so I kind of suspected my first trade was a long because I thought it was showing signs of it going up. And I thought it probably could get up to this orange line right here, the orange SMA at least, which would be a good trade for me if it was going to go up. And I did see signs that it was going to. The MACD, the candles here, and on the longer term chart. I put in my stop and my limit order just to protect my losses. And it wavered quite a bit and eventually stopped me out with one little drop right there. And then it dropped down some more and kind of blew past that lower point that it just formed right there. And then it went up to the orange candle, or the orange SMA. So I would still say that my first prediction was correct. It's just really, really shaky right now, undecided. And as soon as it hit that, it dropped big time. So this is kind of a tricky sort of a day. So the first trade I lost 100 and I can't remember. I think it was $100 on the first trade. And then I got into a short here because I decided that it probably was going to continue to drop. And I put in a yellow line here kind of showing the trough that it had formed over here. You can see that on the longer term chart here. So I figured it probably would drop down to that point eventually. There's another yellow line below it from the previous Wednesday, the lowest point from that point. So we've got kind of a range here that we're aiming for, which is not a huge range. Okay, so I'm in a short here, and it decided to go up to the orange SMA, and I figured it probably would not get above that point and then drop back down. But it did. It went above that point. So at that point I decided, nah, I'm going to put in a stop and get out, and I got stopped out, so I made two bad trades now. The second trade I lost $175. So now I'm up to $275 loss. And this is pretty clearly a day that is indecisive. It's not moving very fast, and it's probably not a good day for trading. And I have like 15 more minutes to go before 10 o'clock, which is kind of like my cutoff time. And so I decided to sit here and watch it at least and see if it would make a decisive move. And it kind of fluctuated between these 2 points. And so I put in alerts so that I would see that when it kind of seemed to make a decision point by breaking through either the bottom or the top. And it was total toss-up as to which it would be. The first 5 minutes I thought it was probably going to go up. And then I thought it was going to go down, and so it's like 50-50. Not good chance for going either way, for sure. Okay, so it dropped down to this point, and then it triggered the lower alert. So that kind of tells me, and this is 10:03, so this is 15 minutes later, even maybe more like 20 minutes later. And so that kind of tells me that, yep, I think we are truly heading down. And so I had to make a decision. It's like, is this worth trading on or not? And when it had this nice big drop, I kind of was thinking that if it came up to the SMAs up here and showed signs that it was, that it was about ready to turn over and drop, I figured one more trade in a short would probably be a good idea. Again, I'm thinking that it's probably going to at least get down to this yellow line here. And so I could get back some of the losses, but I wanted to make a wise decision. It ended up dropping past the yellow line a little bit, and I never did make a trade so far. But I still was thinking that I would probably get into a short if it did go back up. So here is the opportunity that I was looking for. And when I waited a while, it had these wicks that went up and then came back down again. There were two of them. So that was a pretty good sign that it was going to drop. And just to be on the safe side, I did put my linked orders there, a stop and a limit. And I lowered it down. So the stop here is placed at like about $150 loss. So if you add that to what I already had of $250, that would have made a $400 loss for the day, which was what I made yesterday. So there is that. I would have been break even for 2 days, but that's probably not the best way to trade. I did feel like it was tipped the scales that it was worth it to make this trade because I was a little more sure that it was going to be dropping. So anyway, I'm in it. So here we are. When it dropped down a bit, I lowered my stops. So now I've locked in a little tiny bit of profit. I raised up my limit because it just kept going back and forth in this one area, and it was nerve-wracking. I wasn't sure anymore. So I raised up my limit, hoping that I could at least get a small bit of profit there. And I did get it filled. And so the other one went away. And so I made $100 on that last trade, which brought my losses up to $175, which is very reasonable. It's not a profit, but at least it's a small loss. And I stopped because it is now 10:18 and this was not a good trading day. So, but I feel like I handled it decently well. I really did. So thanks for joining me.